Hello, this is Godo. Welcome to a Islands of Insight special. This is gonna kind of be like the little series finale to the hub puzzle series for Illusion Waters. I'm not gonna say there's never gonna be more hub puzzle series, by the way. I'm just gonna either slow it down and or be taking a break for a bit. But for now, I want to put a little special just in celebration. Last time we did the victory lap where I did all of the logic grids using the logic grid radar built into the offline restoration mod. And today we're going to be doing something a little different out of the game. Um, so if you're not familiar, there is tier maker over here, which basically lets you put an arbitrary list of things into a site and then you can rank them. So this is going to be just an opinion piece. Everything here is going to be based on my opinion of how I feel about the puzzles, given that um, I've done all of the puzzles. I've done all the static puzzles twice in the game now, and I've done all of the Lucent Water puzzles at least once. Many of them I've done multiple times, and all the cluster puzzles. So I have a lot of things, a lot of thoughts about some of them. So uh, we're gonna get right into it here and just start talking about them. So everything here is gonna be based on my just subjective opinion for the most part. I've relabeled the tiers as love to see it, pretty good, all right, bleh, and hate to see it. So, um, let's get started here. So first things first, logic grid. I think logic grid is really like the bread and butter of the Islands of Insight experience. Like, there's more logic grids than anything else by like a wide margin. So if you don't love to see logic grids, you're probably not gonna love Islands of Insight in general. I guess if they're in your love to see it or they're pretty good, it's gonna be pretty good. But for me, they're one of my favorite kind of puzzles. There's so much variety with all the different rules. Whoops, scrolled down on accident. All the different rules down here that they can spawn in a combination of them. Many of them are analogous to the same kind of puzzle in like pen and paper puzzles. So like there's star battles with which I really enjoy. There's like a classic Nurikabe rule set, etc. So I think it's just so versatile. It's hard to hate it unless you don't like the puzzles in general. So I'm gonna put it in my love to see it tier. Pattern grids. I think most of the time pattern grids are alright. So a lot of the times pattern grids end up being like, here's this tiling pattern, just repeat the tiling that's going on here. And I'm not a big fan of those when those show up like that. I'm more of a fan when it comes up with like, hey, there's like some kind of fancy rule happening here. Figure out what's happening and then uh recreate that. Those are like the more interesting ones, like when you have to do some kind of binary, like stuff in binary, you figure out what things are valued in binary, and then other things like rotational patterns following the dark line, etc. Those kind of things I find pretty interesting. Let me adjust my microphone really quick a bit. There we go. Just put it down a little bit. Um, Next up, a memory grid. I'm gotta be honest. Memory grids, I kind of hate to see them. They're usually not very fun to look at. So a lot of memory grids, they'll like flash a pattern in front of you, and it's like they have one where it like sweeps diagonally from one corner to the other corner, and then they have another one where it like shows the grid in a checkerboard, and then it shows the other side of the checkerboard, and it's just like really, I don't know, it's really unpleasant to go through those where it like showing the pattern you in some really ugly way, and it's like that's what a majority of them are, or at least I feel like there are. There's not a whole lot of them in the game, luckily, but the ones that you run into are just like kind of a slog, just like preview image, place a couple tiles, preview image, place a couple tiles, etc. It's really a slog to get through them, so I kind of hate them. Music grids. You'd be surprised, but I don't hate these. I don't even think they're like necessarily in the bleh category. But for me, just not being musically inclined, I don't have like, I don't understand music. I understand some music theory things, but like when it comes to using notes, listening to notes, and hearing the difference between different octaves, stuff like that's pretty challenging to me. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I feel like this is probably just a I'm not good at it, so that it goes down here. People who have better musical memory and better at hearing things just from like hearing a melody, I'm sure enjoy these kind of puzzles more, but they're just not for me. That and I guess for all of these, I really have to talk about the higher end, higher tier difficulty puzzles. Um, so I guess I'll go back. Logic Grid has I kind of enjoy what's up there in kind of like the middle upper tier, like 1 star to 3 star is like my sweet spot for things I enjoy. 4 and 5 star are a little bit too tough for me sometimes. Um, and then like 1 pip to 2 or 3 pip is usually a little bit too easy, but I still enjoy kind of just strolling through those. Um, Memory Grid difficulty kind of doesn't really feel like there's much difference in Memory Grid. It just feels like there's more squares to fill in. So memory is kind of irrelevant with the difficulty. And then pattern grid, I think the harder pattern grids are the ones that are less inclined to like being some kind of tiled pattern you're recreating, and the higher difficulty ones are really like the ones based in like, hey, figure out what's happening here, then recreate that. It's like a custom rule. The higher tier music grids are like complete garbage. It's just like too much happening at the same time. You can't hear anything. You're basically left at the mercy of spamming insights. Like maybe I'm just like bad. I don't think I'm just bad, but I think like they're like legitimately like almost impossible to solve without using the insights. You just like can't hear anything. There's too many notes playing at the same time, or they're too fast, or both in those higher difficulty music grids. And they're just not really that enjoyable, like even a little bit. But the lower tier music grids, they're alright. I think up to 3 or 4 pip music grid is kind of my sweet spot. Anything higher than that starts to get pretty uh pretty unpretty, if that makes any sense. All right, match three. So I used to like actually kind of hate match threes, and I've kind of come around to them. I'm still like not like they're my favorite puzzle by any means, but um, it's I understand them a little bit more now, and I enjoy them somewhat. Um, when you find something that's like really hard, I find the ones that are only two specific colors to be pretty tough, as well as just when there's like some obscure combination of stuff that you have to do. Those are pretty tough. Whoops, I keep scrolling down here on this page. All right, moving on. Rolling block puzzle. Rolling block puzzle 2. I'm gonna put this in all right. Like, I'm not like a big fan on the whole 3D space rotating this object, but I've gotten better at it, especially through my second replaying of the game, and then a lot of the puzzles I've been doing in the Autumn Falls and Shady Wildwood and such. Um, I still really do not like. So the difficulty scale for this one, I feel, is the shape dimensions. So when you have like a 2 by 2 by 3 shape or a 2 by 3 by 2, I think that's the same dimensions. A 3 by 3 by 2. Yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. But when you have this like, it's not a cube, kind of like rectangular prismy shape of um rolling block puzzle, and one of the dimensions is not 1 by 1, then I think it gets like really, really arduous. And especially when they give you the puzzle in a confined space of tiles where you can't just like rotate and permutate the shape around like you want. We can use the Vault of the Vitric rolling block puzzles as an example. I think those are like actually pretty fun, and they're not that difficult because it gives you a big wide area where you're able to rotate the block around, and then you're not there like constantly ramming it into the edge of the puzzle trying to figure out the orientation you want it in. and you don't necessarily have to like visualize the solution in reverse is kind of what you have to do for some of the other ones. Um, so that's for the ones that have like the yellow squares where you have to deposit the cube onto the yellow square at the end of it. Um, the ones where you have to like kind of paint the grid, I kind of enjoy those a little bit more in general. They're just they're a little bit arduous, less arduous, I should say. All right, moving on. Phasic Dial. Phasic Dial. I'm gonna go ahead and rank it in the black category. It's not like the worst thing. It's like you can run up to them in general. You can do them pretty quick. Sometimes you get one that's like really tough, like it has a really scrambled up parity you need to figure out. If there was some kind of penalty to doing this or some kind of bonus for doing it with higher accuracy, less button presses, etc., I feel like it might be a little bit more enjoyable. But as it's implemented now, you can kind of just like go in there and kind of start pressing buttons and just generally press buttons towards your solution, and eventually you get to your solution. So I don't really feel like it involves a lot of thinking a lot of the time. Um, you just kind of go in there and start like see like, okay, which has the most dependency, solve this. Which has the second most dependency, solve that next, etc. If you get stuck, then you rotate a previous button a full set of parity around, you know. So, it's kind of like you've solved a few hard ones, you've solved all the hard ones. They don't really feel like they're that unique between the different ones either. Skydrops. Skydrops, I really enjoy. I'm gonna put that in pretty good. Um, so skydrops are, as you know, the ones that appear literally everywhere, almost literally everywhere. I like them because they're just something you can run up to and look at, and sometimes they make a cool little formation, and you can generally do them really quickly. They're not too hard. They're not too finicky typically. Um, so they're just like a fun little puzzle you can run up and do. The how fast you're able to run up and do some of these puzzles definitely plays a factor in how much I enjoy it, because I don't like to just sit there and spend forever on a puzzle unless I feel like it's rewarding, i.e., like harder logic grids. So something that's quick and pretty like a Skydrop is definitely going to be ranked up here. And I think rings for basically the same reason as stated above. Some of the rings which are a little bit more uh how should I say, they're a bit more precise, like the ones in the Eye of the Storm Enclave, where you have to like find the really precise place to stand. Those ones are like, I didn't actually really enjoy those that much. I think those are definitely the hardest armillary rings in the game, but all the rest of them, you just kind of run up and you're just like pew pew, and you know they're like whoosh, and then you get your points, and then you're like, all right, feels good, dopamine, dopamine plus two. All right. Moving on. We have Sentinel Stone next. So Sentinel Stones, um, I'm gonna also go ahead and rank. They're pretty good. They're not like super engaging, but they are something you could just like kind of quickly run up to and do. Generally, actually, just because of the harder part of Sentinel puzzles, I'm gonna bump it down to it's all right. By the way, I'm not ranking the things within the categories. Like, I'm not ranking Pattern Grid above Rolling Block. I'm just kind of throwing it in some random place in the in the tier. So don't take any mind to that. Sentinel Stones though. Uh, you think hard Sentinel Stones? You definitely have to talk about the one that's over in the Archipelago of Curiosities. That Sentinel Stone is brutal, and it's just like I feel like when it's that difficult, the difficulty doesn't add any fun to solving the puzzle. It just makes it more tedious and more frustrating to be like, is this the right spot? Nope, that one's stuck there. Is this the right spot? Nope, that one's stuck there, etc. But otherwise, just because you can run up to them and, you know, quickly like be like, droop, doop, and then you get your puzzle, it's like pretty good. I'm gonna put in pretty good. Okay, I'll undo my my tier change there. Um, yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it, I think. All right, moving on. Leitmotif. And Leitmotif, I'm gonna kind of rank in the same kind of vein as Skydrop and Rings. They're really cool to find. They're generally easy to solve, quick to solve. There's a lot less leitmotifs than there are Skydrops and Rings, so I'm okay with them taking a little longer on general. because sometimes you can see where a leitmotif is, but you don't necessarily know where where you're gonna have to stand to actually capture it. But they do also like they're just kind of like really cool. You like stand in this place and it like casts the leitmotif, uh, like the lines all line up perfectly, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I didn't think it was gonna look like that. Like every time you find the leitmotif, I feel like even your first leitmotif you find, you're like, wow, that was sick. Your 100th leitmotif you find, you're like, wow, that was sick. It's like it never gets old. It's just so cool every time. Sightseer. So Sightseer, I'm gonna put in it's all right. So the concept of like, hey, here's a photo of a place in the world, go find it. It's like it's a cool concept, but like what ends up happening a lot of the time is that I feel a good amount of the sightseers is just like not a unique enough perspective. It's like here, look, go find this tuft of grass. That when you find those, you're just like, ugh. And then especially the some of the sightseers, like the ones in the Vault of the Vitric, like I know the Vault of the Vitric is supposed to be like one of the hardest places in the game, but really, like some of them are literally just looking into a hazy pane of glass and being like, "Go find this nonsense," and you're like, "Cool, bro, thanks. What a great hint." The other problem with sightseers is sometimes when you pick up a sightseer, sightseers have a set spawn point around the map. They have set spawn points where they can spawn, and sometimes the place a sightseer spawns is like way far away from where the actual site is, and you can be like, let's see, is it around where I picked it up? I have no idea. Nothing around here looks anything like this. This is especially true in the Syrian Deluge, where you can like get a sightseer that's like down in the valley floor, and then the place to actually find that sightseer is up on a mountain somewhere, and it's just like, oh man, come on. This is like I couldn't even have gotten here within 30 seconds to get the 30-second bonus, even if I knew exactly where to go. So, moving on, Hidden Pentad. Uh, I generally like the kind of searching the environment kind of puzzles. So I'm gonna put it in pretty good. It gives you a confined area to search the puzzle in, and then I also feel like it's slightly skill based. In first of all, if you're really good at searching for stuff, you're gonna be have a good time like searching over the area, remembering where you've searched, and just quickly finding those pentads. But then secondly, it gives you when you have the ability to shrink down the bubble after you found four of them, that gives you kind of like a skill based incentive to like pay attention to where things are going, kind of visualize like, okay, if the bubble's going this way, the thing's going to be over here in this nook maybe I forgot to check in. So I think it's a cool puzzle. It's like doesn't seem very skill based, but I think it is. And I would say if it wasn't for the hidden pentad upgrade you can buy in the upgrade tree where the last bubble would shrink, this would probably be significantly more frustrating because you would end up with so many situations where you have like 4 out of 5 pentads and you just have no clue where it is. I like might drop it one, maybe even 2 tiers if it didn't have that upgrade. But that upgrade is like a really high value redeeming upgrade to have on hidden pentads. So I'm gonna leave it in this tier. The monolith. So monolith is the monolith fragments. It's part of the monolith mysteries, and then the final like big matchbox style puzzle for the monoliths. I think it's like it's all right. It's kind of just like eh. It has some problems. I'm gonna put it in blah actually. So the monolith, like first of all, you only do it once, so it's not that big of a deal. But the problems is that there's a monolith fragments around like every continent, right? And whenever you find one, it highlights all of the other monolith fragments. So you can like use that, and then you can go find the other monolith fragments by looking where the beams of light are coming off the monolith. The problem is if you find them randomly, then that activates the beam, but then the beams disappear like next time you close and reopen the game, and then you can't see the beams anymore. So you're like, let's just say you find all of the monolith fragments except one monolith fragment, and you're just like, where's the last one? And you're like, have no idea which ones you've gotten, which ones you haven't gotten, and you end up having to like comb the entire map or pull up a guide or use save stats to find out where the last one is. And I don't think it's like very well designed in that regard. That it can be kind of frustrating. But otherwise it's okay. It's just like another kind of find these things in the whole continent. Um, if you know how the monolith works and how to find them, I think it's a better experience. But then I feel like it also kind of like ruins the experience of being like, here's a thing I found in some random place, and then the culmination of that is solving the monolith. But instead, it ends up being basically if you know how to solve them, you want to leave them all until you're ready to get all of them, and then you just like find a random one, and then you just go from monolith fragment to monolith fragment and do them all. All right, moving on. Matchbox. Matchbox, I'm gonna put it pretty good. Sometimes it's really frustrating. They like hide some of the matchboxes really well, but I think overall it's like really cool to see how they've implemented them, where they've hidden them. It's fun to look around for them. Um, it can be frustrating when they like hide one of the matchboxes really well and they make the other one like in a super out and open place. So I'll give it that. But other than that, I like that's probably what makes me enjoy it the most. Just and then also you can just get some really cool perspectives. Like, oh, I can see like way over here, and then over here I can look through the window in this building and I can see the other matchbox on the other side of the building. Just a cool experience overall to do this. All right, shy auras. Maybe unpopular opinion. I'm gonna say I hate to see these. The reason why is that most of the shy auras in the game are white shy auras. So the different shy auras are there's the purple one that reacts to footsteps. The green one reacts to movement in general. It respawns when there hasn't been movement around it, so that's just like a wait to respawn it. The blue one responds to quick movement, so that includes flying and running. And then the red one responds to you looking at it. Um, so then the white one is basically you don't know what it is. It's one of the prior ones, but the reason I don't enjoy this puzzle, and I think the white puzzle is actually bad game design, because what it lets you do is just like, okay, here's a unknown shy aura, right? If you fly at it, looking away from it, then you are going to land next to it, and either it's going to be a purple and red one, so you can collect it immediately, it's going to be a green one, so it'll respawn shortly, or it's going to be, if it's none of those, by process of elimination, it's a blue one. So the white ones, like, you can instantly figure out what kind they are just by using, like, one generic approach. And I think because you could just use the same approach on all of them and it always works to tell you what it is, it's kind of like meh. I feel like it would be better designed if you could just like see it from a distance and know like, okay, this one I need to fly at it, this one I need to look away when I'm approaching it, and then you know, you don't just use the same approach for all of them. You use a different approach based on what you're seeing. And then there's also the teleport beacon upgrade you can get. You can kind of put a teleport beacon down next to a shy aura, fly away, warp back on top of the shy aura, and solve it that way anyway. So like, it's kind of like, okay, if my generic approach doesn't work, I know it's a blue one, so I'm just gonna teleport on top of it. Like whatever, man. It's just like ends up being the same puzzle, and there's like what? How many? 300 different shy auras in the game? It's just like not very unique, not very interesting. Um, I mean, okay, hate to see is kind of harsh. I'm gonna put it in the bleh. Because otherwise, like, it is a really quick puzzle you can just run up to and do really quickly, but yeah, I mean, just because you don't really have to think about it ever, you just, like, adopt a certain method and that's it. That's what you do forever. It's, like, kind of boring in that regard. Crystal Labyrinths. So, Crystal Labyrinths are, I think they're alright. So, when you're running through and going through there, it is kind of a fun rush to see how fast you can get through the maze. I'll give it that. It's frustrating in that you can get, you can get the ones where you have to go up a floor, then down a floor, then up 2 floors, and then they're just kind of like having you zigzag around in the maze. Those are the ones I'm not really a fan of. I kind of like the ones that are just kind of like a straight line through. It's already hard to navigate them because it's hard to see where there's walls and where there aren't walls. You're like kind of just running through there, bashing your face on every other wall if you're um, if your eyes aren't really like good enough to see where walls are and aren't. So it's all right overall, but I think the if it didn't have those ones that go up and down floors, I'd probably rank it a little higher. But because those exist, I have to say, it's only it's all right. Fractal, morphic fractal. Um, Everyone hates these, and I'm gonna say I also hate them. Uh, the reason why, like, I understand how they work and how to solve them on a technical level, but like when you're actually doing it in practical sense, it's like just feels like really it feels both really lax and really strict at the same time, if that's even possible. Like sometimes you just like stumble upon the solution really quick, and other times you have something that looks like you have the perfect match of your preview, but it's not giving it to you. And I understand why that is. It's because it's like a fractal rotation of a, fractal through 4D chess space, whatever. And there can be multiple places in that space that have a similar looking image that are not the, it's not the solution. But that's kind of why I rank it a little lower. I feel like what I would like to see to rank it higher, I like the ones that are in the archipelago of curiosities that show you. It basically shows you two different phases of the puzzle at the same time, and you're trying to, instead of necessarily trying to match the picture, you're kind of trying to make those two different phases of the puzzle line up, and that's like, I think that's a cooler way to approach it. And another thing I think would be good to show is if it had some kind of map or like bar that showed you like how far you are in which direction from the puzzle, because sometimes you just don't know where you are and you don't know where you've been, so you can kind of end up blindly searching a long time to try to find your solution. And a lot of the time, I hate to admit this, but I know I do it, I'm sure many other people do it, is it just ends up being like a spam click and hope and pray puzzle where you hope and find the solution when it's too difficult to actually solve it in a practical manner. So for those reasons, you kind of hate when you have to do them, but uh shifting the shifting mosaic puzzle. This one I'm gonna put in all right. They're generally okay. They're generally quick. I have to bump it down because the really arduous ones, especially in the what's it called, Enclave? The Enclave over there in the Lucian Waters, not Lucian Waters, Serene Deluge. I'm forgetting what it's called. What is it called? Jeez. I don't even know where it's called. But it's that one over there that has like the really, really, really difficult shifting mosaic puzzles. And it's just like not a fun time. You just like feel like you're just like sliding the blocks around randomly trying to get things to go through, and it's just like not pleasant. So because of that, like that's mostly what bumps it down. If they were mostly easier puzzles or more unique in some way, like I understand they're all unique, but it feels like they're the same. You know what I'm saying? All right, next up, hidden rings, hidden archways, and hidden cubes. I'm gonna kind of rank these together. I kind of just enjoy these all in general. So from a perspective of I'm trying to get 100% completion, these are actually awful because they end up being like they end up being like really awful to find like the last here, find the last hidden ring in this entire area. Good luck. Um, but just from a doing the puzzle perspective, they're really cool to just like run up and be like, oh, look at this thing here. Let me get up here, yoink, and grab it. And from that perspective, I enjoy them. So I will say the difficulty for those is mostly comes from the completionism. Like you can easily find enough hidden rings, hidden archways, and hidden cubes to complete the regular game objectives, but when you look at stuff like 100% enclave completion, 100% hub puzzle completion, then they become kind of a bit more of a menace. I'm not really looking at these from a necessarily a 100% completion perspective, so for that I'm just ranking it how I enjoy them here. Wandering Echo. I'm gonna put these in all right. So I do enjoy platforming, but I just feel like these things are like really erratic to follow sometimes. Like you're just trying to follow them, and they like swing around the corner really fast, and then you're like just trying to chase them down. If you have the bonus unlocked for the first time you touch it, you get a bonus. It can be a little bit more stressful because you're like trying to chase it down and make sure you don't lose your bonus. It goes up on a ledge suddenly, and you're like, oh crap, and it gets hard to get it sometimes, and they just like I don't know how you could better implement it, but how it is now, it's kind of like whatever. Fast run, also known as flow orbs. I guess whoever made this puzzle forgot what this puzzle was called. I really enjoy this. This is probably one of my favorite kind of puzzles. It's just like here's a quick speed run slash platforming challenge for you. Go do it. And it's like all right, cool. I will do that. Glide rings. I'm also gonna put in glide rings pretty good. It's more of like sky platforming. It's not really as high stakes or fast paced as the flow orbs, even though it does have a similar system where you can get a bronze, silver, gold, or platinum score. The score is more based on like how well you did the course. Did you clip the edge of rings? Did you get all the rings, etc. So I enjoy those generally pretty well. Um, all right, that's gonna conclude the actual puzzles here. Um, Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reset this and I'm gonna go through the grid rules separately. So there we go. I'm gonna go through the grid rules here separately. So starting off, all connected. So I think in general, there's a few different variations of all connected. So you can have all connected by itself, and all connected both light and dark at the same time. I think light and dark all connected at the same time is pretty cool. It has some pretty cool implications. Um, just connect all dark cells or all light cells. I mean, it's basically the same rule, just a different flavor, right? So I'm gonna put that in the. Uh-oh, my cheers got renamed. Hold on. All right, there we go. Renamed it back to how I had them. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say on average, I like to see this. Just because it has a cool set of implications, I think. Pattern match. This is like the worst rule. So this is the one where it's like, hey, make every shape be like don't have any three in a rows, don't have any four in a rows. There are a few variations of it that I enjoy, like don't have a T makes you make a snake. But on average, most of them are like really dumb. They're like, hey, don't make a three in a row, don't make a four in a row, and it basically becomes a thing. As the great YouTuber and Twitch streamer Alien Rocks put it, it's spot the thing, where you're just sitting there looking to see where's the next thing that I need to put. And it's not really an interesting way to solve puzzles. Area size. Area size is probably the most ubiquitous and common kind of puzzle rule because it's like feels like it's almost everywhere. I'm gonna just say it's all right. Like it just feels like it's part of everything for the most part. Um, so you just end up being like, okay, well, I've seen this a bajillion times now. Like instead of being interesting, now it's like the point of just being like tired of it, kind of a thing. But still, it's all right. When used in combination, a lot of the times these rules have to be used in combination to make something interesting. So by themselves, they don't really meet something like pattern match. Avoid a single one by one tile or avoid a domino, for example. Like that's a much different rule than avoiding a three in a row. So I don't know. There might be some flaws to this ranking system, but who knows? Letters, letters. I'm gonna just give the blah ranking. They're just a little boring. I feel like they're usually not too challenging. Even like the 5-star letter puzzles are like don't tend to be all that hard, and they're just like eh. There are a couple hard ones. Like I know the Lucian Waters static puzzle ones over there, kind of on the eastern side, towards where the courtyard enclave is. Like those are a little bit more of a challenge, but the actual puzzle is just like connect the dots kind of puzzle. Um, I do enjoy the ones that are like flow freestyle, where you just have like this giant grid and you have to draw different paths between them. Like those are kind of cool. But overall, letters are, I don't feel like they add a lot of value to the puzzle. Size defined, it seems pretty similar to area size, but I'm actually going to bump it up by one. I just think it's more interesting when everything in the puzzle has to be a certain shape or size. And congruence isn't on here just because this tier maker was made a little shorter. Let's pretend that which of these look like something congruent? Pattern looks like it's a congruent shape here. So I would say pattern grid is for the congruence rule, which isn't otherwise represented here. I really like that rule. I think that's a really cool rule where you have to use like all pentomino or all Tetris pieces, etc. Size defined is okay too, but congruence is just like such a good rule. One symbol per area. I like this rule. It just makes the puzzle be. It kind of simplifies the puzzle in a way, but it still makes it challenging. You have to you have to go both ways from tiles, right? You can't just see like, okay, here's a 5 that needs to go out 5 tiles. You also see, oh, here's a dark tile over here that needs a home. Where's it gonna go, right? And you have to think about it from that perspective. Um, Liar, also known as all values off by one. I'm not a fan of this one. I wouldn't say, maybe I would say I kind of hate to see it actually. It's just, I don't know. It's just too much brain power suddenly you have to use on decoding those values. Like you see a 3, I want to see a 3, and I want to think a 3. I don't want to think 3 or 4. And it's not like you see a 3 and it can be a 5 or a 6 or a 1. It's only 3 is 2 or 4, so it is off by exactly 1. So it just doubles the amount of different values you have to worry about things being. And overall, like you can do some clever things with it, but I don't feel like the puzzles itself are very enjoyable to do because you're having to like constantly think about both permutations of the puzzle, basically using process of elimination to determine one of the versions of the numbers incorrect, so it must be the other one. And it's just like I kind of prefer it just to be like a visual thing. Here's what it is, that's what it's going to be. Darts are a pretty interesting puzzle. Darts can be used to make some interesting puzzle sets too, like they can be used to make the Star Battle puzzle, which I really enjoy, but this is not a ranking for Star Battles, this is just a ranking for darts. I think they're pretty good. They're more of a challenge than other type of rules for sure. Similar to Viewpoint is tends to be kind of a challenge just by itself. Um, yeah, darts. I don't know if I really have that much to say about them. It's a fun one of the more fun challenges, and yeah. Lotus and Galaxy. Oh man, I really like both of the symmetry rules, just because you have to think spatially and kind of imagine like your shape as it's growing in the grid. Um, really enjoy both of those. Don't have a whole lot to say about them. I know a lot of people don't like them. It's a really hit or miss style of puzzle. I really enjoyed the spiral galaxy type of puzzles that you do like on paper with like paper and pencil. Like those are really cool. But yeah, in game, I think they're implemented generally pretty well, and they are pretty fun to do. When they get like when the grid is gigantic, like let's just say you have a big grid that says connect all the dark tiles, and then the dark tile has a symmetry piece on it, but it's a gigantic grid. That can be a little bit more annoying, but it's not too bad overall. I enjoy it. Viewpoint puzzles. Viewpoints they're probably the hardest rule to deal with overall in the game. I'm gonna give them alright. It's not that I'm difficulty adverse as much as that they require like you have to like sit there and count. You have to do a lot of counting with them. You have to say, okay, this is a 6, and then it can grow a 4 over here, and then you know, okay, because it can grow a 4 here, we know it goes 2 this way. And then you just have to repeat that over and over and over sometimes to get through some of the grids, and it's just kind of like, eh. But other times they're like really quick and sweet, and they're pretty good. Um, and they're a fun challenge a lot of the time. So overall, I'm gonna say It's an alright puzzle rule. Underclude is like probably one of my favorite kind of puzzles to do. Maybe just because I'm lazy, I don't want to do the whole grid, and oftentimes it just makes you do like a small section of the grid. But it's basically like a test of knowledge to see how well do you understand the set of rules that's currently being set here. There are certain implications to certain combinations of things on the board, and then you're basically having to figure those out. And then once you figure those out, that's all it's asking you to do is figure out what are the implications of this combination of rules and tiles. And I really like that because you don't have to do a whole lot of you don't have to do a whole lot of like miscellaneous filling in tiles with different colored tiles to fill in the whole grid. You only have to do like what matters, what's important. I think if you had all of the underclude grids, you would probably solve for more difficult cases on a case by case basis than like compared to some of the harder puzzle grids. Some of the hardest puzzle grids in the game are definitely the underclude, like the underclude 5-star and 4-star puzzles. Those can be really challenging, but really cool too because you're like basically showing here's absolutely everything you can deduce based on what I've been given here, but it's still not the answer because you don't know what the answer is. It's ambiguous. And then finally, our last kind of puzzle, and I have to say there's only how many of these are there in the game? Let's see. There's the one in Verdant Glen. There's one in the what's it called? There's two in an enclave in the Lucent Waters. There's one in the Cliff in the Void enclave in the Autumn Falls. Yeah, I mean the problem with this puzzle isn't that it's not cool or not enjoyable, but there's like hardly any of them. So I feel like I have to kind of rank it down just because it's like not really well implemented. I enjoy the puzzle like overall, but it's just like you don't really see this puzzle. I mean, based on what I'm saying here, I'm gonna say it's pretty good, but like there's hardly any of them. There need to be more of these, man. There's so few of them. It's sad. Anyways, that's gonna complete my chart over here. We can actually look to see what do other people who completed this think about these puzzles. So these were my rankings for the rules, pattern grid. Oh, I forgot myopia. Which one looks like a myopia arrow? Here, match 3 has an arrow in it for myopia. I would rank myopia like it's all right. It's kind of hurts your head to think about it at first, but once you get it down, it's a pretty cool puzzle rule to deal with. So again, pattern grid was congruence, and match 3 here is myopia, just because those don't actually exist on the rule set. Anyways, let's look to see what the community ranked their puzzles here. So glide ring, shifting mosaic, sky drops, rolling block, matchbox, labyrinth, wandering echo, rings, leitmotif, pattern, and music grids all in S tier for the community. Interesting. What's probably most interesting to me is that logic grid is here in A tier, even though logic grid is like the bread and butter of the game. I think A tier is still an appropriate place for it, but it's like I guess on average more people think it's an A tier puzzle than an S tier type puzzle. Maybe just because there's so many of them in the game. Let's see also what people are liking. People are disliking fractals. Like that's totally not a surprise even a little bit. People disliking shy auras, not really that surprise. Memory grid again, not a surprise. See what I said about Lotus and Galaxy? People really don't like those. But people don't like Liar either, so that kind of lines up with mine. People don't really like Pattern Match. I don't feel like Environment has enough fair representation in general in the game, so it's like what it is, right? Um, let's see. The rest of these are they're kind of weird. Like Hidden Cube, Hidden Archway, and Hidden Ring being in different tiers is kind of weird because they're like pretty similar in nature. But yeah, um, the community's favorite logic grid rules are one symbol, all connected, and area size, and letters, and viewpoints, apparently. Interesting. They like viewpoints more than darts. They like viewpoints more than size defined and underclued. Okay, well, anyways, this has been the bonus video here. Hope you got some insight into what I enjoy here in this game, and we will see where the future takes us in the Islands of Insight. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming what's it called? The upcoming uh expansion of the offline restoration mod. I think there's going to be like a new enclave. There's going to be new puzzles, and we're just going to see. It's going to be really exciting. So, uh, maybe some more videos trickling in, but the frequency is definitely going to go down a bit. So for now, thanks for watching. If you want to be informed when I do continue uploading, make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.